A lot of people take off a hat and put on another hat, but as women, we are constantly mothers and wives and sisters and daughters and friends, and we work, so we are also in a professional capacity, and we never take off any of those hats. And our own well-being is so important, and the well-being of all the lives that we touch, and each of you in your own capacity are in places where you touch lives every day. So what we wanted to do was to organize an event that kind of sheds light on the services that is available in Dhaka city, that we can avail to kind of, for ourselves, for our peers, for our family, for our friends who are in need, but like personally for myself, I was not aware that I needed help. And I have friends who stepped up and pushed me towards it, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you so much for being part of it. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers who are going to talk to us and tell us about the services that are available in Dhaka. And I'll hand the microphone over to my co-host, the beautiful Kate.
What do I say? Oh, welcome. No, I think a lot of us don't realize that we need to take care of ourselves, actually. We help and we help and we give, and yet we forget to also nurture ourselves. As women, we're cook. We are caretakers of our family, caretakers of our friends, extended relatives, your work, but we forget to be a caretaker of ourselves. So hopefully, by talking about this, we become aware that yes, we need to take care of ourselves in order to give more. All right? I mean, we cannot keep giving, otherwise we'll go empty. And then when someone needs that help, we don't have anything to give. Arts, paintings are here because a lot of people actually, like, they use art as as expression of what they feel inside. So hence the art and this talk.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Neda. I'm Nissim Jan Sajid. I am a psychological counselor. I started a clinic here in Bangladesh in 2017. And since then, it's been humbling. It's been an honor to see so many people reach out to us with their mental health issues. The response was very, very surprising. We really didn't, anticipate this many people would reach out, this many age ranges, all across the age groups, from young, toddler-age children with behavioral or intellectual disabilities to, elderly people who are experiencing empty nest syndrome or retirement and wanting to find that level of fulfillment or healing or happiness. So I am very, very, very lucky to have this job and to have so many colleagues in the field. So Neda and Kate reached out because they wanted me to talk a little bit about the journey of mental health in Bangladesh, and I'm not gonna go into details. I'll make it like a super summarized journey. Bangladesh's journey, and to watch it from this up close at a policy level, down to the level where people are actually reaching out at a community mental health level, is astounding and so rewarding, because you may know that the birthplace of psychology is Europe, is the Freuds, like all the theorists, the different waves of psychology that has come to this level. But in the last 10, 20 years alone, Bangladesh has, I would say 10, 15 years, Bangladesh has made leaps and bounds in terms of where we've come with identification of mental health illness, identification of, I'm sorry, I'm quite sweaty. I hope you can't see the beads of sweat on my face.
You're shining.
I'm glowing in this, okay. So, identification, treatment, and the way we are working on it at a policy level. So in a way, we're actually working backwards. So all over the world, whenever we see people talking about mental health, it's usually at a service level, but maybe the government acts or the government policies haven't caught up to it. But if you have read the newspapers, you've probably seen this one word thrown around quite often, which is autism. And autism was one of the first mental health concerns that Bangladesh brought to the forefront. And this is because, there's always influence. The Prime Minister's daughter took it upon her own agenda to bring it into the forefront. And she used this autism awareness agenda to pierce into the entire bubble of mental health. So that's what was used. And in the past 15 years, people might not know what autism looks like, but they sure know the word autism. So yeah, we've had issues with people just throwing it around, being like, that person is fighting, he has autism. This person can't go to sleep, he has autism, which is not what autism is about, but it started a conversation, right? The stigmatization with mental health, with reaching out for services. I think it has actually bridged some of that gap between people being like, oh, no, I could never have mental health issues, to being like, okay, so I could have it, and there seems to be a government help center at our Upazila level, so let's go there. Let's see, let's rule it out. This conversation has made leaps and bounds, because all over the world, that took 40 years. For us, it took 15. And so right now, we exist as a country that has expedited mental health acts made in 1912, like during British rule, which is the Lunacy Act. The Lunacy Act, as you can tell, as the name reflects, was about, treating lunatics, not really a diagnosis, I would say, but balling them under a problematic label and putting them away, or finding treatment to kind of desensitize them or dope them up and, have them hidden in the corners of society so we don't have to run into them. How convenient. So since then, we had in the 80s an upheaval to that. In the 80s, they changed that around. So after Bangladesh was created, after we separated from Pakistan, we actually had something in our law that did a better job at that. And from that 1980s act to jump to 2012, 2016, 2018, and of most recent 2020, to have all these major changes made within our Bangladeshi Mental Health Act, which actually are trying to delineate between psychiatrists, psychologists, school psychologists, and your clinical psychologists, which are all different professions. None of those are the same. None of those people do the same thing. They all maybe work with the same guidebook, but none of them actually help you in the same way. And all this time, we were all balled under one word, psychologist, which doesn't help anybody, because perhaps you're having or experiencing, mild levels of anxiety or depression, and at the very least, you need to talk to someone to kind of hash out those problems and to kind of, get it off your chest. And then you're sent to a psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist is like, here's a bunch of meds, take them. Are you feeling numb? Good. That is not good. You don't want to feel numb. Getting mental health support is not about feeling numb, not about making your problems go away. It's the opposite, actually, to kind of confront them, to talk about it, being like, oh, I have a chip on my shoulder. Oh, it's being sweaty in front of a whole crowded garden full of women. Oh, I guess I should talk about it, So talking about issues can do wonders for all of us, which is why I imagine we're all here today, because we all want to talk and share our resources about how we feel better, when we feel better, where to go to feel better. So to come back to full circle, the clinic that we created was to bring that level of safety to Bangladesh. Because we've all, whether we realized it or not, gone through symptoms of mental health illness. Maybe not diagnosable, maybe not a full-on diagnosis, but we've all felt those symptoms. And they're very normal, day-to-day symptoms, right? Sleeplessness, feeling tired, groggy, not wanting to socialize, loss of appetite, eating too much, sleeping too much. Those may sound like, hey, that happened to me all in one day today. But those over a duration of, time, duration of months, duration of weeks, can actually be a diagnosable something. And we won't know until we talk about it with our peers first. And if you're an expat, if you're in the expat community, and if you don't have those comfort peers, those peers that you can trust, there are places, there are human beings here that you can reach out to. There are clinics here that you can reach out to. And you would be able to talk about it with a stranger. Sometimes that can feel a lot more reassuring and endearing than talking to someone you do know. Because why? Why do we sometimes not want to reach out to someone we know? For shame, embarrassment, fear of judgment. What else? Why do we not talk to people we know?
Insecurities.
Sorry? Insecurities. They might be jealous of us. So plenty of
gossip train.
the gossip train. Oh gosh, it's like one of the worst trains out there. And so whatever the reason, head in, Google clinics, research the person you want to go talk to. It's worth a shot, right? You might not like your therapist, and it's really important that you do, so you can always switch around. You can always ask for somebody else. But the idea is that services like individual counseling, group counseling, couples counseling, children and adolescent mental health services for school issues, for school problems. They're fighting in school, they're being bullied at school. We don't know those things. So come to a professional, get assessed, talk to someone who would be able to hear you out. And there's no knowing how much better or how okay you might feel.
I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who's going to introduce herself. I don't think I can do justice to her, so I'll just let Mehnaz come and tell us about her journey and what services she provides.
Good evening, ladies. I am honored to be here. I would like to thank Chenoa and Kate and Neda for inviting me this evening. I have been a sort of a healer since I can remember. I was very, very young. I was diagnosed with bone marrow abscess and was paralyzed from the age of 2 till about 5, until when I mustered up the strength to just get up from my wheelchair and start walking. And what that did to my entire system was that since I was a child, I grew up knowing that miracles can happen. Something inside you, something inside your system triggers a kind of miraculous healing. And it was because of my mother's prayers, of course. The mother is the first healer that we ever come across. And we're all healers here. Each individual human being has that power in them to connect and to heal themselves. When we break a nail, when we get a scratch anywhere on our body, it heals by itself. We're not looking at that broken nail or that blister. Unconsciously, subconsciously, it's healing. Therefore, in the prehistoric days when people were hunters and gatherers, they were going out there, they were breaking their legs, they were breaking their heads, and everything else they had to break. They were coming home, they were resting, and they were healing. But the doctors and healers work hand in hand in this day and age. I refer my clients, my subjects, to go and speak to doctors because we work together. When I'm able to find an imbalance in the energy system, I tell them, you need to go see this doctor. And the doctor and I then work together in counseling the person. I am a certified energy healer, quantum touch healer. I've worked with Q-Rock, I've worked with Nanairo Reiki, and different levels of healings. And I have realized one thing, that what I'm best at doing is not continuously healing the client, but triggering something within their system in which they can auto-heal themselves. It's a mind frame. It's a way of thinking, it's a way of being that triggers that continuous healing. And it doesn't take long. It can take anywhere from a moment to a month, 3 months, it doesn't matter. There's no time limit. And the fact that you think that healing is something that is either good or bad, it'll work or it won't work, it doesn't work like that. We're always healing ourselves. We're all healers. Therefore, to attach any kind of results, attach any kind of expectations to a healing would be the wrong kind of paradigm or parameters to work with. You have to come with an open mind, and you know that when you begin to feel connected, you know when you wake up in the morning, you step out of your bed onto the earth, you're actually putting either your right or left foot down, you're plugging into the entire system. So it's, I tell my clients that think of yourself as a power bank. When the charge goes down, you need to charge it. So connectedness with nature, connecting to your inner thoughts, your higher self, there's a lot of new age vocabulary out there, but basically just be yourself. Go with the flow, listen to the voices you hear when you're alone. And I think the 2 years of the pandemic actually triggered healing in a massive way in every one of us. We didn't have this opportunity to go out to a cave or to go on a faraway retreat, but we were in our own homes for 2 years in self-isolation, and that was the universe's way of telling us, stop, take a break, listen to your heart. And that in itself was a magnificent way in which people actually evolved. I saw my clients 2 years before the pandemic, and I see them now. And whether they are in touch with a healer or a doctor had nothing to do with the kind of metamorphosis that happened. People have evolved, they have awakened in these last 2 years. And my sincere condolences to everyone who lost a loved one. I lost my husband in the pandemic. Last May he was traveling, and we didn't get to say our goodbyes. But the grief is an ongoing process. The grief will never end. Grief never ends. It comes and goes throughout the day. And so I have a list of A to Z in my vocabulary for healing. I address everything from arrogance up to the human zeal for power. And how I connect with my subjects is very simple. I let them come and I let them download the years and years of trauma and judgments that they accepted or they didn't accept. And I let them basically download, and I do not diagnose, I do not prescribe medication. I prescribe life skills, I prescribe wellness and healing modalities that will help them, which are self-help programs that they can do, because I have been able to reverse many physical ailments that are chronic through simply walking them through their journey, finding out the exact time and date when that disorder they're dealing with actually was triggered. So you walk through your life, take a calendar, and we take the whole journey together. And therefore there are, there is a way in which they can cope with everyday life. Wellness coaching, life coaching, call it anything you want. But we all grew up with a mother who was a wellness coach. Don't do this, don't eat this when you do this before you go to bed and do that before you wake up. So what a healer does is that healer taps into that energy within your system that is imbalanced. Someone who is dealing with infidelity has to focus on fidelity. Someone who is thinking about sadness has to focus on happiness. It's the two ends of the pendulum. We can go to extremes. We can get addicted to whatever it is that we want to get addicted to. And I walk my clients back to that time when they were forced to take on something in their life as a compensation for whatever it is they were addicted to. Therefore, for anger management, people who were craving attention seem to be a lot more angrier than those who are confident. So anger is a way to reach out. Sickness is also a way to reach out. If I'm, a mother who feels, every time I call my son, I tell him, my back hurts, I know he'll come and see me. My head hurts, I know he's gonna come and see me. So by constantly perpetuating the pain and the sadness and trying to have some kind of control over the person that gives me that attention, actually brings upon that pain upon my energy system. So, the power of the word. If you wake up first thing in the morning and you tell yourself that you're going to have a good day, chances are you are. Because you wake up with that mind frame. And if you wake up and you say, oh no, I have to go to work again and deal with those, XYZs. So your day is already charged with that kind of energy, and you are not open to receiving. You've set boundaries for yourself. You've already labeled, you've already diagnosed yourself, you've already predicted the outcome. So what happens when a lot of times people will come with a prescription? And like I said, I do not prescribe, I do not refer anyone to a particular doctor, but I tell them, I said, do your research. These are the issues you're dealing with, whether it's kidney stones or diabetes. There is a healing equivalent to every prescription that a doctor gives. The doctor does his job and I do my job. I guide the person to walk themselves through their prescription, through whatever the doctor suggests. So as a life coach for diabetics, for example, if the doctor prescribes an hour of walking, avoiding sweets, avoiding, all kinds of stressful situations. So as a life coach, I will tell them, are you going for your walks? Why not? Come, I'll take you for a walk. So I walk them through their journey, and within a short span of time, when a person has adjusted their life skills and their lifestyle towards self-healing, they need not rely on anybody else for external happiness. The happiness is an insider job. So they feel good going to the doctor. I've been going to a endocrinologist for when I was first diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And medication's going on. The doctor prescribes, she does her part. I was 120 kilos. In 1 year, I came down to 80 kilos. I did my medication, I did the insider job, I did my rituals, I did my wellness runarounds, and I realized that something did change, something was triggered. So my clients follow the same tips. The examples I give are from my life skills, from what I went through in my life, mostly. Each woman, if she walks through her life, her mother's life and her grandmother's life has the entire encyclopedia of all the issues that a woman can go through. Miscarriage, abortion, divorce, multiple marriages, infidelity, extramarital affairs, you name it, it's all there. In the history, in the family history. So we need not feel so vulnerable, because at many junctions in our lives, we cannot afford a lot of luxury. We cannot afford sometimes to go to an expensive gym. We don't need to. We can walk in the backyard. We can walk in the neighborhood. We can walk in the community streets. So healing happens at almost zero cost. The medication that the doctors prescribe these days are not that pricey either. There are a lot of over-the-counter supplements that people are prescribed, which I promote to my clients, that yes, because the food that we eat is not nourishing us enough. We don't have the direct exposure to sunlight. But during the pandemic, one of the most important ingredients that we were advised to take was vitamin D. It was there all along. Did we care? Did we go out in the sun? But when the pandemic happened, we were bound to take our vitamin D shots and go out there and do everything we had to do. So the 2 years, continuous evolution that happened completely took the toxins out of our psyche. Our psychological get-up was changed forever. We may, God forbid, I pray that there is never another pandemic like this. But these 2 years of experience will last us forever, for generations to come. And what helps a lot of people is if they journal their lives in terms of the outsider. Instead of depending on judgments others will pass on us, if we sit down to evaluate the day, at the end of the day, if I give myself an 8 out of 10, I'm doing pretty good. There are days when it's a -2. So self-evaluation and self-worth, how you measure that, is going to really make a big difference in your life. And one very big prescription I give my clients, and you can choose your own lipstick color, is to wake up, brush your teeth, get fresh, and put your red lipstick on. You can choose your color. But what that does is it automatically, doesn't even have to be lipstick, can be just lip gloss, but what it does is it automatically prepares you to feel good, if that's what I'm going to judge myself with. My children see me first thing in the morning, preparing their tiffin or their breakfast, and they see someone whining, miserable. It causes a shift in their energy field. They feel vulnerable. They feel, mom is sad. The tiffin's not going to be that great today because she's not doing the right thing. She doesn't feel good. But you wake up with that kind of spunk. You wake up with that attitude that this is your day. Chances are you're going to make it your day. Chances are the children are going to absorb your energy. So the energy field of the human being extends in a very strong way for as far as our arm can reach. That's our sphere, the electromagnetic field that we work with. Ever walk into a place and feel a little vulnerable, scared, and not so comfortable? Because we are very energy sensitive as human beings. We register with people's moods, how people react to us. And once that little space around us is healthy, it's high vibrational, and it's our comfort zone. When we feel we're not fat shamed, we're not judged, we're there. People will judge us no matter what. But when we feel comfortable in our own zone, we have the potential to move forward. That's all it's about, moving forward in life. So I mean, I won't take up too much time. I just want everyone to know that everyone here is a very powerful healer, and once they've triggered that little seed of light within them, they can conquer anything. Any illness can be conquered. I have seen miraculous results with people reversing their conditions, whether it's hair loss or whether it's dry skin, even the smallest things. Sometimes I wonder, people come with bigger issues, but then sometimes people come with things like, oh, I want more silky hair, and I want my nose to be sharper, and I want my eyes to be bigger. And I'm thinking, okay, great, if that's your issue, we'll address it, no worries. But it happens. Everyone has a healing crisis. Everyone feels the need to fix something. Healing is not about fixing anything. Healing is about setting it right.
The next speaker, before we close off the evening with Lamia, I'm going to introduce, again, I'll go back to what Nissim said. Each person, for each of our issues, for each of our daily experiences and traumas and needs, we need different service providers. And so this person, I stumbled across fighting a backgammon board off of. I won. So she's my backgammon partner, but what I've also found is she's truly inspirational human who's also a life coach. And so I'd like to introduce Reniee to please come and tell us a little bit about who she is, what she does, and what services she provides.
I feel terribly disheveled after sitting comfortably with the fan blowing my hair all over the place. Neda beats me hands down every single time we play backgammon. I keep going back. I'm a sucker for punishment. I love the game. She has a lot of wisdom in that game, and she doesn't always realize it. She's highly tactical, and I don't see it coming, and it's wonderful. So my name's Reniee. You know how I met Neda. I've been in Bangladesh for 2 years. I've been practicing as a coach since 2004, and that journey started.
Sorry, that's my bad. Sorry. Sorry, Reniee.
Just wait,
Yeah. Can you put it on the chair? Because I was just trying to make sure that the people in the back could hear us. I apologize. On hello. You should be back on. It's reset.
Is it? Yeah, it's back on.
Sorry.
So my coaching journey started in 2004. I was working for a multinational. I was a global executive, and we introduced coaching as a leadership modality within the company. And as the executives, we were all trained as coaches, internationally trained as coaches, and we were expected to coach our subordinates. There we go. Okay. See how good she is at doing this? So we were expected to coach. And I started enjoying my coaching more than I did working as an executive. And it started kind of dawning on me that this just was much more fun. And I was very naturally passionate about coaching. And so I peeled out of the corporate world and have been a professional coach ever since. Initially, I predominantly worked in companies, coaching teams, coaching executives, coaching leaders, coaching managers. And I got to a point, probably 2014-15, where I realized that actually so many of the corporate people that I was working with were burnt out, they were exhausted, they didn't have time for themselves, they weren't able to self-heal, they weren't self-regenerating. They were just on these treadmills. And I started working with a neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon in fact, to kind of understand what happens with us as humans when we know but can't do. What is it about? I mean, every woman in this room knows how to lose weight. Can we do it when we want to? No, not necessarily. We know how. It's information that's pretty much at our fingertips, but we can't necessarily do it. And that led to a complete expansion of how I view the world and what I offer. And I do a whole wellness bit along with my coaching. I still do a lot of corporate work, and that's quite simply because that's my background. And people accept that, okay, she was an executive, so she must know how this goes. And I can tell you, I can walk into any company, I can be extremely vulnerable, but because I've got that sort of title to hang on to, I get on with it. What is coaching, and how does it differ from what you've heard already? Because all of these modalities have a place. Training has a place, therapy has a place, psychotherapy has a place, healing has a place, coaching has a place. And coaching, the way I view coaching is I find you where you are today, and we work about where you want to go to tomorrow. If I find that, you're really stuck in something in the past, I'll send you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and say, you really need to deal with that. I'm not trained to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I know somebody who is. Or actually there's some real medical background. I find it a lot with executives that there's a medical issue. Actually, you need to go and see a doctor, or you need to go and see a specialist. I'm not the person for you. But very often you are the person for me, and you are where you are today, and you've got, I really want to be happier. I want to be able to communicate better. I want to improve my relationship with people. I want to be whatever it is you want to be, that you aspire to, that you want to get to, but kind of I know, but I can't do. And that's the style of coaching that I work in. That's the realm of coaching that I work in. Here in Bangladesh, I've been an expat, a trailing spouse now for 12 years. Worked all over Africa. Did a lovely expatriate stint in the UK, which is bizarre. To be an expat in the first world is like God. I come from Africa. I'm African, so for me, being an expatriate is always about the edgy places and the places that the world doesn't explore. And so I find myself in Bangladesh. And what I've done in other countries and what I started doing here was, the first thing I did is reach out and say, where are the coaches? I subscribe to the International Coaching Federation standards. I looked there, couldn't find any coaches, and so started putting out feelers. Anybody interested in coaching, any coaches that I know, anybody working in the space. And at the moment I'm mentoring and training 12 coaches. All of them have been studying with an international school. One has actually just got her associate coach accreditation. She's got her first 100 hours. She's the first, she is the first internationally recognized coach in Bangladesh. I'm very, very proud of the fact that it's a her. And I worked in the same way in Nigeria until 2018 for 5 years. I left that country with 60 coaches, having started with myself. And I aim to do exactly the same here, is make sure that people are getting good quality training, not the fly-by-night, 2 days online, $200 kind of training, but really good quality training, that they know how to differentiate themselves from therapy, that they know how to network in this space, that they know when to stand back and when to stand forward, and that they can proudly stand up on the global stage with every other coach and go, I'm a Bangladeshi coach. And so, I mean, in the last month alone, I've probably had 15 calls from other countries going, we really need a Bangla speaking coach. So there's such a need for it, but the community is coming. I can feel the community coming. So that's another piece of work that I do here, and I do that so that the day that I leave this country as an expatriate, I feel that I've left this that was my home in a better space in terms of my profession, that I've contributed to the growth of my profession in this country. So that's my kind of bit for my community. That's me, I think. Thank you.
Speaker today, Lamia, you're going to tell us about your journey and about your experience and about your book, and I'm really excited to hear you talk. So stand in the light
Yeah, sure.
so the video can get clear.
I wish I were a stand-up comedian. That has been my dream for years, by the way.
Yeah.
So what should I tell you? I'm just a living example of a person who's been living with mental disorder for last 24 years. So I was officially diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the age of 22. So it's 24 years running. So I've written a book. It's called This Life is Beautiful. It's a semi-autobiographical. It's like at that moment I did not have the courage to tell anyone that I had bipolar. So I made it a fiction. And whatever Nissim and Mehnaz are talking about, I'm doing everything what it takes to be healthy. And sorry, I haven't prepared any speech or anything. I really didn't know what to say or what not to say. What I just say that I'm a very dedicated patient of PHWC. I think Best Patient Award goes to me. I give it to myself because I've been taking care of myself for 24 years. I never miss my medication. I always go to counselor. I always reach out for help. I'm a mother of 2 children. My daughter is going to college this year. And I don't see any flaws or anything in me because I have a mental disorder. At the beginning, yes, when I started this journey, when I was bipolar, it was very shameful. I would rather be called as an alcoholic or drug addict rather than a mental health disorder. So it was that stigma. It happened in 1998. This is like 2022, like 24 years of this journey. And in this book, I gave my heart and soul to help people and understand actually what bipolar disorder really is, mental health really is, and how important it is to take care of yourself. You're not actually doing this for you. First of all, you have to do it for yourself, but you have no idea. I've seen my parents, what they went through, and I've seen my other friends' parents, what they went through when they were having the episode, and these people are like completely not in control. They are doing all this weird stuff. Parents, family, brothers, my parents suffered a lot. I did not know at that time that they were suffering. So while this journey of writing this book is my passion, this is my another baby. I got it for all of you. And the reason you should be healthy is because of you, for yourself, and for the people who are around you, actually. Because it is very difficult for other people to understand what you're going through who don't have mental health problem. So, So I've been working very hard, and I raised 2 kids quite well, I must say. And because you know what? Certain things you have to do when you have mental health, right? Since I have bipolar, I can tell about bipolar, right? But when you have a bipolar disorder, you have to take medication every night or day, whatever the doctor prescribed. There is no about that, no stigma about that. You have to be healthy first. It's not for your, this is something that you have to do. And secondly, you need good night's sleep and, like, you know, have a routine in your life, right? So it's more like, you know what? I'm the like a living example of like what Nissim and Mehnaz are telling. I'm doing everything. And this PHWC, I always actually encourage people to go for counseling. People think it's a kind of weakness that you are sharing your all these weird thoughts to someone. Especially when people like me and people who don't have mental disorder or something like that, we are not on a same wavelength. So it's very difficult for other people to understand. So that's why counseling is very important, because these people are trained, they know actually how to guide, and you are like, I don't say that I'm a bipolar. I said I have a condition, it's called bipolar disorder. And it has also very many positive sides as well. And for me, after writing this book and came out public as a bipolar patient, was very tough for me because people were like looking at me, I could say, with a lot of questions. And they thought, like, you know, I'm not functioning completely, right? So it's like they have lots of questions. For me, I don't have an answer, but sometimes they'll be like, you know, it's tough. When you're happy, you know that what bipolar disorder is. Its other name is manic depression. You get manic, right? Very high and up and very creative, and you get completely depressed. And what medication and counseling and everything what do actually keep you in the balance. So, like, you know, when I was like having fun, just a usual fun, like a normal people, like being very happy, like I'm very happy, like they're seeing like I'm happy, I'm enjoying myself. Immediately they were thinking that, you know what, I'm having an episode. So it was tough for me to even have fun. And if I go and just don't feel like talking and just sit all by myself, oh my gosh, she's depressed. So I don't care. But the thing is, you know what? Love yourself, take care of yourself. When you have mental issue, please take it seriously. It's just like a diabetes or like any other blood pressure, any other thing. Just listen to your doctor and take medication. Sleep is the most important thing, and have a routine in your life, and you can have a normal life. I think I have an amazing life. Trust me, I do. And I love my life and I love myself.
Everybody loves you, Lamia. Everybody loves you.
Please don't forget to take the book that I got it for you guys.
Well, the author is here. You can get her to autograph the book as well. Honestly, when I was growing up, I used to go to a teacher and a Bangla private tutor, and I went there for 6 years. On the 6th year, I remember I was a little older and I was looking for something, and I walked around and there was a back room and there was a man, an adult man there, and he was locked up in a room and he was shut, and I'd never seen him before. And I said, who is this man? And the maid ran, closed this door and shoved me out of the house, and there was like a panic in the house. And I said, what's going on? Anyway, so my teacher later on explained to my parents that one of the children, her brother, was born with mental disability, and the parents and the family, and nobody knew what to do with it, and it was such such a taboo, such a stigma at the time, that they just shunned him out of the world. He'd never left the room. He'd never seen the outside world. Maybe they'd take him to the rooftop, and that's it. They had erased him completely from their lives.
Planned this event, I completely forgot about calendar. So today was an exhibition of, my oldest daughter had an exhibition today where they prepared and they researched. Her group topic is about good health and well-being, coincidentally. So they made this artwork where it's a tornado, and their interpretation of that is like, that's our brain. Our brains are tornado, and it keeps on sucking information, negativity, positivity. So it's actually up to us whether what we want actually to allow in our lives, whether it's good or it's bad. These are like 11-year-old kids. Then they understand that, you know, your mind is a tornado and it's gonna keep on taking in what you allow it to. So going back to the beginning where women wear multiple hats, I had to wear multiple hats today. But yeah, simultaneously at the same time. But yeah, that was my error. Anyway, thank you everybody. This is actually a wonderful event. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, brought awareness. Yeah, we have food inside, by the way.
Where there's AC.
Where there's AC, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, everybody.